This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Reopening the straits means ships can sail through international waters without being fired upon, without paying a toll.
Who is charging Hezbollah to do what they're doing? The IRGC is.
It's a well-constructed game plan at the major airports.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
False and erroneous. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Those are President Trump's words online denying reports that negotiations between the U.S. and Iran have broken down. His version continues to fly in the face of what Iranian state media is saying, that Tehran will stop exchanging messages with the U.S. through intermediaries over alleged ceasefire violations by Israel and the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio at a joint congressional hearing today saying Trump's still insisting Iran release its stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz.
Reopening the straits means the following. Ships can sail through international waters the way they can do through other choke points around the world without being fired upon, without paying a toll. That's condition number one.
Iran's condition number one is Israel halting defensive attacks against Hezbollah in Lebanon. But retired General Jack Keane tells Fox News Hezbollah is just following orders from Tehran.
Who is charging Hezbollah to do what they're doing? The IRGC is. They supervise the proxy. That's the reality of it. So they are undermining negotiations, to be sure, and that's the tension in the regime.
President Trump has reiterated to Iran that now is the time to make a deal or else. At least 18 people dead, 100 more hurt following a major Russian attack on two cities in Ukraine early today. Here's Ross Collin.
An 8-year-old boy was among the at least 12 people who were killed in the city of Dnipro. At least 6 people were killed in the capital, Kiev. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on the U.S. to send more air defense systems to help defend cities after the deadly strikes.
Russia says those strikes were in retaliation for a deadly Ukrainian drone strike last month on a dormitory in a Russian-held region of Ukraine. A White House briefing today by Dr. Mehmet Oz, who says the U.S. is ready to roll when it comes to the combination of incoming World Cup soccer fans and that African Ebola outbreak.
It's a well-constructed game plan. We have very purposefully put up testing tools and mechanisms at the major airports that people will be traveling through.
Oz says several U.S. airports are now staffed to make sure fans aren't bringing Ebola into the U.S. Primary elections for the U.S. House, Senate, and gubernatorial races being held in a half dozen states today, including California. ABC's Trevor Alt on one of L.A.'s high-profile mayoral wannabes, Spencer Pratt.
I just want people to feel safe.
Pratt rose to fame on the early 2000s MTV show The Hills. His campaign has taken aim at incumbent Mayor Karen Bass as she's battled low approval ratings triggered largely by her response to last year's devastating wildfires.
Voters also hitting the polls today in Iowa, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Well, Americans' views on religion seem to be changing. A recent Pew Research poll finds 61% of U.S. adults say religion is losing its influence. But among younger Americans, a resurgence of faith.
I think just church is such a good way to find community. And so since a lot of younger people are craving community, they're looking for churches and stuff.
Andy Carlson, a recent grad of the Rochester Institute of Technology, among many from the Gen Z generation leaning into their faith now. Chaplain Sam Kinsman hosts weekly church services at RIT.
I would call this a spiritual awakening, both from a moral conscience and moral courage perspective, but also in the joy and the fun and the abundance and the teamwork that we're seeing in Gen Z.
Kinsman tells Spectrum News he's noticed an uptick in the number of students on campus expressing an interest in the Bible, students like Andy Carlson.
If you want to connect with God, do so by finding other people that will accept you and understand and have those conversations with you and answer your big questions, because questioning your faith doesn't mean that you don't have any.
A recent Barna poll found younger adults are now the most regular church goers, outpacing older generations in weekly attendance. This health note for you: June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and health officials say the numbers are alarming.
About 7 million Americans are currently living with Alzheimer's disease, and experts warn that total could double over the next 25 years as the population ages. Advocacy groups are using this month to push for early diagnosis, stronger caregiver support, and more funding for research. I'm Monica Nelson.
All right, still to come here on the 5 o'clock report, a recap of our top regional stories and highlights from today's edition of Hometown Heroes. But first, here's weather with Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Our weather pattern is in cruise control mode right now. High pressure will continue to deliver fine weather right through the rest of the work week. Mild nights, warmer days, plenty of sun, and little to no chance of rain. That will change, though, this weekend as a front will deliver some showers. Our call for tonight, mainly clear, beautiful evening. Overnight, we dip into the mid-40s to the middle 50s. For tomorrow and Thursday, very nice days with ample sunshine, some wispy clouds, and it will be turning gradually warmer. The high temperature tomorrow in the mid-70s to around 80. The high temperature Thursday in the upper 70s to the middle 80s. It'll be cooler both afternoons, very close to Lake Erie and Lake Ontario.
Thanks, Kevin. Checking the stories, making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania, looking for answers in a quadruple murder in western New York. Grisly scenes uncovered by police in the Buffalo suburb of Cheektowaga yesterday. A woman and 2 young boys fatally shot, and Buffalo police then finding a 4th victim, a man on a city street. Says this investigator.
Never a good scene to have to walk into with the human life dead right in front of you right there, especially when it's children. It affects the investigators and stuff like that. So everybody's working together as a team.
29-year-old Sayla Muhammad, the husband of the adult female victim and father of the 2 juvenile victims, was arraigned on murder charges last night. Police say they're still trying to figure out what motivated those shootings. Dozens of police officers showed up Monday after one of their own walked out of the hospital in Buffalo after being shot a half dozen times responding to a call.
I'm just so humbled and thankful for everyone that's here for me today.
Police officer Mark Hurst shot while responding to a domestic violence call on May 26, once in each calf, once in an upper thigh and arm, twice in his bulletproof vest, hitting his radio and his taser. 33-year-old Minaz Sadiqui has been charged with first-degree attempted murder. Hurst walked out of ECMC on his own power last night, telling WIVB God gets the credit for his healing.
You walked out. I mean, why'd you in a wheelchair?
Only by the Lord. I have no idea. I can't explain it. Yeah, other than the holes in my legs, I feel, I'm just so humbled and so blessed.
Hurst's faith made an impression on his fellow officers.
Based on what I'd heard previously, I didn't think he'd be out early this week, and then to see him walk out.
It's miraculous to see this officer take this kind of gunfire and to walk out on his own. It's a testament to him, the shape he keeps himself in. It's a testament to God.
The faith of an officer and the protection of a merciful God. Next to Pennsylvania police, who will begin issuing fines this Friday to motorists who talk or text while driving. Paul Miller's Law, named after a man who was killed 16 years ago by a distracted driver. Fines are $50 for a first-time offense. You can also be ticketed for texting or talking while stopped at a red light. The Red Cross says there's an urgent need right now for donations, with the summer months always especially challenging.
So we're dealing with the time of year when a lot of our college and high school blood drive programs drop off for the summer.
Red Cross spokesman Billy Brill says Memorial Day to Labor Day is the deadliest time of year, especially for teenage drivers. That makes blood donations critical.
We're looking at appointments in June, and that's where we're starting to get a little bit nervous. It makes for a pretty big gap that we have to fill.
Fatal crashes involving teen drivers rise by 30% over the summer. A single person injured in a serious car wreck can require up to 100 units of blood.
We see a substantial increase in almost every traumatic mechanism as the weather starts to get warmer around this time of year.
Michael Vella is a trauma surgeon from Rochester, New York, and he tells Spectrum News.
When we get into the summer, it becomes a daily occurrence where we're giving patients blood.
You can learn more about giving the gift of life at redcrossblood.org. Well, the next head of the University of Buffalo knows the area quite well. Here's Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
Yeah, UB's next president is Buffalo native Caroline Attardo Jenko. The current provost at Tufts University near Boston will become the institution's 16th president and the first woman to hold that title. SUNY trustees appointed her today, effective August 10th. She earned her undergraduate degree at SUNY Fredonia and postgraduate degrees at the University of Rochester. She'll now lead a university with 6,800 full-time employees and over 30,000 students. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Up next, highlights from today's edition of Hometown Heroes. I spoke with pastor and author Dale Ingram with Speaking Truth in Love Ministries about their upcoming conference in Woodhull, New York, focused on training pastors and other church leaders on how to help people heal from complex trauma such as sexual abuse and domestic violence. Speaking Truth in Love Ministries, this is tough stuff. It was a very challenging set of circumstances that led to its creation.
Yes. Faith and I met at Bible college, and shortly before we were engaged, she was able to tell me she had been sexually abused by her father. And we had no idea what to do. The initial response was, I don't want anything to do with him. And Faith's like, well, we have to love and forgive. So we really wrestled with that. And what we tell people now is we maintained a fairly normal relationship with her father up until 2006. Then in 2006, her dad molested one of his son's foster daughters. And that event is kind of what really woke us up to the issue. Faith started doing the research, telling me the information about predators and offenders. And I was shocked at the information, but it seemed to, we could look at her dad and all the red flags had been there. So I confronted him in 2006 with what he had done. And I also confronted him with what he had done to Faith years ago. He's clearly unrepentant. Both Faith's parents have passed away now, but we started our ministry talking about it, planning it in 2007. We did our first conference in 2008, and the church I was pastoring at the time gave us a lot of freedom to travel and speak at conferences and in other churches.
Mm-hmm. We've heard a lot about this in the news lately with the Roman Catholic Church. This has been something that just continues to unfold here in our listening area, too, in Buffalo and other parts of the region. But that dirty little secret in the closet, if you will, has been there all along, hasn't it?
It really has. It's a generational thing that's been passed down. As a matter of fact, my mom, when she was 90 years old, she was born in 1923. When she was 90 years old, she read our book, Tear Down this Wall of Silence. And shortly after that, told me that she had been raped for the first time when she was 12, and then multiple times by men in the community as a teenager. And so this stuff's been going on. The whole thing with the Catholic Church and Spotlight, that kind of blew the doors open on abuse in the so-called Christian community. But everything that we see in the Catholic Church, it's in all these denominations. It's there. It's been silenced effectively for many generations.
Highlights from today's Hometown Heroes. You can hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
You weren't just saved from something, you were saved for something. Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. Ephesians 2:10 says we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. You're not an accident or an afterthought. You've been shaped by God's grace for a life of meaning and service. That includes how we handle money. Generosity is more than a nice idea. It's one way we step into the mission God has for us. 1 Timothy 6:18 encourages us to be generous and ready to share. Every gift can become an instrument of God's love. So look for opportunities to give. Start where you are. Use what you have. Because when you live generously, you're walking in the very purpose God designed for you. Get biblical answers to your financial questions in the Faith Fi community. Download Faith Fi, Faith and Finance in your app store or visit faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Finally at 5, almost 56 years to the day, a Vietnam veteran in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, awarded a Purple Heart for being wounded in combat.
The medals we present today are more than decorations. They are lasting symbols of dedication, discipline, and unwavering commitment to our nation.
A long overdue honor for Private First Class Thomas Barnes. Drafted at just 19 years old, he served with the 101st Airborne Division in Vietnam as an Army Ranger.
I got shot in 1970, so it's been a while.
Barnes stopped by the Monroe County Veterans Affairs Office for a disability claim, and that's when Deputy Director Eric Morin tells WNEP he noticed some records were missing.
He didn't have his Purple Heart or his ARCOM on his discharge, and I just went over it with him. I was like, look, we need to get this fixed.
With the help of Congressman Rob Bresnahan's office, the Purple Heart is now in Barnes' hands.
Thank you so much.
His wife, Adrienne, pushed him to keep fighting for his awards, just like he fought for our country.
In the beginning, they couldn't even find information on him, so that was so discouraging and frustrating. So to reach this point is just amazing.
Regardless of ribbon or a piece of metal, it means something to be able to recognize somebody who almost gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country, to be able to realize that there was an injustice and we were able to fix it.
Honoring a vet in Monroe County, PA, who will not be forgotten. And that's the world we live in for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.